Hello and welcome to the Beauty Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry. I am your host, founding director of Beauty Industry, Tamara Shaw. Here we are closing the competitive gap and speaking your language. This is a platform created and dedicated to the professional beauty industry, valuing community over competition. We serve to help connect you with inspiration from industry experts, expand your knowledge through educational pieces, and bring you the latest in product and technology innovation. This is Beauty Industry. Today I'm speaking with the incredible Karla McDiarmid of Macquarie Medispa in Orange and Bathurst. In 2001, their first site opened in Bathurst and made quite the name for itself and has become a true small business success story. Employing 21 skin and beauty therapists across 2 locations, 5 expert specialists from Sydney who visit the Medi spas fortnightly in the fields of anti-wrinkle, laser and cosmetic tattooing, in 2016 the business took on a second location in Orange. What makes Macquarie Medispa stand out from amongst the crowd is their award-winning titles, including winning the World Luxury Spa Award for 2018, the ABIA's Beauty Salon and Spa of the Year, and Salon Team of the Year. Karla herself has taken out the titles of Spa Director of the Year in 2018 and the 2018 ABIA's Business Owner of the Year Award. The Medispa stocks 7 brands, of which they have won the Pure Fiji Stockist of the Year and the Dermalogica Global Winner Award, where Karla got to fly to the dinner and meet Jane Wurund, the founder of Dermalogica. Talking success, small business, and everything in between, today we welcome Karla to the podcast. Karla, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Tamara.
It's my absolute pleasure. Now, it's that time of the year at the moment that the ABIA nominees are being announced and we have the awards coming up shortly. So I thought, what better time to have our audience hear from you, as you've taken out so many of those awards, and we're going to deep dive into that in today's conversation. But I'd love you to start from the beginning of your career. What was it about the beauty industry that excited you?
It's interesting when I think back, and my mum always looked immaculate. She always had her hair done. She went for facials every month. She had her nails done. I thought they were her nails until I was quite old, and they weren't. But I remember being about 12 and I went to the local beautician where mum went to, and I don't know if the lady knew who I was, but I asked her for a job, and of course she said no. So then later on, when I was in year 10 at school, I went to a beauty salon for work experience, and the rest is history.
Amazing. So it was pretty ingrained in you. You knew that you were going to be in this industry from a young age.
Yes, I think it was my calling. It's quite funny. There's only 2 industries that I wanted to do when I was younger, and one was working with animals. And I would have loved to have been a national park ranger. So I figure both of them are quite caring and looking after others or animals or people. And so both caring in nature, which is interesting.
Very compassionate and nurturing jobs. And I definitely feel that, the comparison between animals and humans, in that respect, we're both being very nurturing and looking after others.
Yeah.
So what was it, your first beauty job?
My first beauty job, well, I did that work experience with the local salon back in year 10, and she actually offered me a job from work experience. So from there was no apprenticeships back then. This is 21 years ago. There was no apprenticeships back then, so I had to go to the city to do my training at a private college in Sydney.
Amazing. And for those who don't know, I don't even know really if they do the same kind of work experience that perhaps we experienced. Did you do that week in a beauty salon?
Yeah, so I did 2 weeks, and I'm trying to remember back that far now. And then every sort of after school, I just go in and help the lady who owned the salon. And yeah, it taught me a lot. Like, she'd, go in and do little hand massages while the clients were having a facial. And that's exactly what I do with work experience students now. So it's still the same.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so when was it in your career that you maybe had an epiphany and thought, maybe I could actually do this myself and open my own business?
I sort of fell into it. I remember ringing up a ex-employer and saying I'd can I have you as a referee? I'm going for jobs in Sydney. And she said, I'd like to talk to you. So I didn't actually open Macquarie Medispa. It was a little salon with a different name back 18 years ago. So it only had a couple of staff. And so totally, when I took over it, I then, moving backwards, then I sort of looked into it and went, okay, maybe I should do this. Went and worked in the salon first for a couple of months and then actually took over it.
Fantastic. And so then you rebranded into Medispa. How come you didn't stick with the decision to make it sort of more of, as it traditionally was, that salon feel?
Well, back when I started, it was a day spa and people did have time to spend a day at the spa. And I remember we had the package that went for the whole day and it was wonderful. And, you know, people didn't have spa baths in their homes as much and that sort of thing. And the saunas and different treatments. But then you just really notice that shift in that people now are really time poor. People want quick results. They want it now. And we're in the country. We're regional in Bathurst and Orange. So that first business obviously being in Bathurst, but we're a bit behind the city times. So we did need to rebrand. We did need to get away from we needed to yank, you know, the spa out as such and those sort of things. And, more facials and skin treatments was what the clients were asking for. So we had to, you know, shift with the times.
You said there that you're in a smaller area other than, you know, you've heavily populated Sydney and things like that. Do you think that there is a big difference between having a small business in smaller towns compared to some of the more busier suburbs?
I do and I don't, because I feel some people think that the country's very different, but there's pockets in those big cities that are just like big country towns. And it's very close-knit little community. So I feel like depends where you are, and it probably depends on how you run your business as well. So for us, we're more like family. We know the clients by name when they come in. You know, we wave, you know, you see them down the street and you can wave, you know, everybody knows everybody in smaller towns. And I think there's a really big push more in regional for shopping locally. And I feel that city people don't really care about that whole shop local because they look for the cheaper or what's next, who's the newest opening. Or I feel like I think even my personal friends, like nobody in Sydney really does a shop local theme. So we know if we don't shop local and regional, your shop's shut down and that's it. They probably will stay empty.
And I guess there's that real kind of community push in smaller towns because, as you said, you know, you can be at the local Woolies and you know your client who you just did a facial on a couple of days ago. And I feel like in the city there isn't that, you know, sometimes you can travel around and not see anyone for an entire day, which is so strange. But also, you know, because of that community feel, there aren't as many smaller shops. Probably due to the rent as well, I'm assuming, but it is quite nice. I always love that little saying, when you shop local, a little person does a happy dance. I love that.
And I always say with our team, it's not just one person doing the happy dance. There's 20 of us young women dancing. You're keeping us in a job. But I have a funny story that only happened this week. I had a trainer out from Dermalogica and she was shocked that when we walked down the street together to take her for lunch, we know everybody. People just say hi, 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 hi. And then all the trainers and the reps just think it's amazing that we can know so many people in these areas. But she went to the airport that night and the aeroplane was delayed for 2 hours. Do you know it was a Macquarie Medispa guest who offered to drive our trainer and another lady to dinner back into town while they waited for the plane?
Oh, wow.
And she said, Karla, it was one of your clients. Like, it's
my goodness.
How amazing, because that would never happen in city. If a plane was delayed, nobody's going to offer to take you out and let's go get something to eat while we wait for the plane.
Goodness, no, that's amazing. I've recently moved from Melbourne in a city suburb to Queensland in a more rural area, and it's so different. Like my partner and I go for walks every night and we used to go for walks in Melbourne and nobody would say hello. Yes. Like I feel like if you fell over on the street, nobody would even notice.
They won't help you.
No, and here it's good evening, how are you going? It's such a different feeling.
It is lovely. And like you said, it's just a sense of community. And I think that's why part of the reason why our businesses, and from what I hear, so many regional beauty salons are doing well.
And I can imagine as well, your word of mouth would be your driving force for your business.
Definitely. Like even this morning, I was just buying things for Mother's Day hampers, and the man at the local, buying champagne, and everybody knows everybody, and it is word of mouth. And he's saying, "How are you going? Any awards coming up?" Like, it's funny the
Oh,
conversations that they have with you. But word of mouth is definitely huge for us, and gift vouchers, which is usually that referral system as well.
less money spent on marketing, which we
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yes.
I'm wondering then, something I hear quite often, which is a common conversation between business owners in our industry, is how hard it is to find good staff, and then not only that, but retain them. What is the recruitment process like then in smaller towns? Because I can imagine there's a smaller pool of therapists. I could imagine people would feel a strain as if they didn't have their choice. They kind of just had to pick somebody due to the fact that it's in a local area.
Definitely. There is nobody out here that would be qualified and experienced. The only girls looking for jobs would be people that have just finished TAFE. And now with the online courses, it's really difficult because they've got no experience at all. They seem to get a qualification over the internet. So really hard for us. We have a really thorough training program and induction program. So even if I do, sometimes it isn't a bad thing to take someone straight out of TAFE, because I can mould them to be Macquarie Medispa, and I can mould them to be my mini-me. And we're actually just talking about whether we look at even a training program where they pay us to train like a group of, I'm a qualified trainer and assessor as well. So do we get these young girls and help them do a bridging course to how to work in a salon? Because there's so many that cannot get a job because they've got no experience, but they won't get it out in the country.
Yeah, I can imagine. I do hear that quite often. It's almost that battle of, well, do we take somebody who is fresh out of beauty school or TAFE, who has zero qualifications, and I've got to spend more time and resources upskilling them, or do I take somebody who is a little bit older, but then my comeback to that is, well, then maybe they've got bad habits.
And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but quite often you cannot change those habits. Once the door closes, they're doing the old facial, they're not doing Macquarie Medispa facial, so it makes it really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to drive that quality and consistency. And I guess one of the things your team has done well is provide that quality and consistency. And I guess you would have a much lower staff turnover rate because there are probably less opportunities for them in your area.
I feel I was thinking about that only this week, and sometimes yes, sometimes no. Depends. I did have a little spate where I obviously hired the wrong people. So it just depends on me too, because sometimes you get that desperate phase that you put anybody on, and I have to learn, don't do that, Karla, because there isn't enough people to choose from. But then I have some wonderful girls who've been with me for over 6 to 9 years, and their mums, and I realise my mums are some of my hardest workers because they have bills to pay. So they are troopers in the treatment room. Like, they're amazing. So we've got a really great team at the moment. Even our trainer this week, who was out from Dermalogica, said she could feel the difference, and just having the right team and positivity makes a massive difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you've said they're not recruiting from a place of reactivity, but, proactivity. Definitely makes all the difference to your team. And I'd love to have a chat about your team, because one of the awards that your team has won is Salon Team of the Year, which is just an absolutely incredible title, a Salon Team of the Year. How do you, as a business owner, create an award-winning team?
Oh, it's a hard one. It is a tough job, and it takes a lot of effort, time. It actually takes a lot of money as well, because we do so much for this group of women that my accountant and business coach tell me I spend too much time and money on training and functions and taking them out and spoiling them. And when your accountant says to you, you need to pull in the belt there, but you're like, but I know I have to make them feel amazing and appreciated and wanted. And you get the most out of them when they're in that sort of, when they realize they are appreciated. So we do a lot as a group. Training is probably top of that list, because you can't get a team without the training. that works to this level, you know, to be with our retail brands. We're some of the top retailing for the country. So how do you get that in a country town without training? So it's a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot of incentives. So we recently just had a Louis Vuitton handbag incentive, and 5 girls got a Louis Vuitton handbag. That's how they worked together. They work as teams. So you have got to dangle the carrot, but it makes them pull together as a group. So we do, like recently we had 3 pregnant at the same time, still are. And I put on the whole baby shower for them. I organise the high tea, do all of that sort of thing. And so it's not just focusing on the business and, you know, treatments and retail. It's getting them out of the salon and having fun as a team, because they're going to work together better in the salon as a team if you can get a really great relationship with them all loving each other and happy, because they'll work better.
That's incredible. I want a Louis Vuitton. I'm going to come work for you.
Our challenge at the moment, our team challenge, I'm trying to take them to the Golden Door Health Retreat. We've got a 6-month challenge in place, and it's based on different things, like even including sick leave. So we have sick leave incentives where the girls are rewarded for no leave. Obviously we have retention rebooking targets, like different things just to keep them motivated, because everybody at the end of the day wants to earn more money, but we try and do it a little bit differently and make it special. That what are the things that the girls wouldn't do for themselves, especially if you've got a family? What you couldn't buy yourself a handbag, you put the kids first and that sort of thing. So we're trying to think outside of the square with different ideas to motivate the girls to be better as a team.
And that's quite a special trait that obviously you have being a business owner, because often I'll speak to business owners and I'll say, well, what are you incentivizing the team with? And they say, oh, every single month they've got the highest retailer, and that's been going for 6 to 12 months. So, as you said there, looking at other things, rebooking, your retention, maybe it's most improved, best customer feedback, best Google review, whatever it is. Obviously, we do want to increase the retail, and that is such a driver. But for some people, seeing that same Jodie therapist win every single month because she's just an absolute gun seller, that can be really disheartening.
And I think if anyone's a big salon owner like we are, with, it's 15 to 20 plus staff, our payroll tax was going through the roof. So I had to look at other ideas. Instead of just paying commission after commission each week, we had to look at other ideas. So you can help the business at the same time. But it was like something different for the girls. Instead of paying bills, they're actually being rewarded with beautiful gifts that makes them want to love working at Macquarie Medispa.
After the break, Karla and I chat about her pathway to leading a team and Macquarie's plans for the future. But first, a word from our sponsors. Minx Bronzing, professional spray tans and self-tanning products have been an industry staple in many women's beauty routines for over 8 years now, and founder Monica Griffin prides herself on being an approachable girl boss in the spray tanning industry. Being 100% Australian made, Minx bronzing products are packed full of skin-loving ingredients, so you not only look good but feel good too. Tanning is not just a beauty essential, it's a lifestyle product for all skin tones, shapes and sizes for embracing body confidence. Currently taking on new stockists, head to www.missmbyminx.com.au to find out more, or enter the code WELCOME20 at their online checkout for 20% off your purchase. And coming back to you as a business owner, you have taken home the award for Business Owner of the Year and Best Spa Manager, which are just phenomenal. What are some of the qualities of yours that you think maybe helped you win those titles?
I pause because sometimes I think I don't know what the judges are looking for and what they think. I think it comes back to the last question, with the team. And if your team is performing well, then obviously as a manager, you're doing the right thing. So I just try to treat people how I would like to be treated. And I learnt from probably previous managers when I was younger of what not to do. So I, always just try new things. I'm constantly putting myself in education to learn as well. And I love networking events, especially within the beauty industry, because you get to talk to other business owners and get ideas. And I love it when people are open to sharing ideas of what they do. It's a hard one. I just think being fair, I try to, tough but fair, And I think as long as the girls know we're all in this together, you know, to have a happy life. Today, like I'm taking two of my girls in the salon to the gym. We're all going to the gym together because we needed it for us. So I feel that they're helping me get out of bed of a morning, but I'm helping them to stay more positive and, you know, try and feel better as on our own with our mental health. So I think it's those little things, you know, taking the girls for lunches one-on-one or dinners. Like, you know, a couple of my staff are going through tough times. So I'm, you know, I text them, have you got someone to have dinner with tonight? Like just doing the little things, you know, little things are the big things. And trying, if you can get your team to be in a happy spot, you know, when they're going through their challenges in life, it really does make it easier for everybody together. So I think when the judges are obviously looking at awards, they're looking at those sort of things, I assume, and obviously the business is financially, you know, a success and it keeps growing and growing. And then to open a second business, we ultimately could just keep going, I think, and picking different towns for destinations. But I think it's me that needs I can't be in the car driving between them all, I think.
Yes. And I guess it's quite profound in, you know, your team has won Salon Team of the Year and you've won Best Business Owner and Best Spa Manager. It really goes to show you that it is a relationship. You know, it's like the mum and the dad, and that you have to work together to create that perfect business match. And, you know, you saying the best thing about you is how you nurture the team, and you're saying the best thing about the team is, you know, what they give back to you. And I think, unfortunately, some business owners have that mentality of, well, what has the team done for me lately? Yes. And I feel like you're very emotionally intelligent in seeing that, well, it is a fluid partnership. And if I'm asking for too much, they're not going to be able to give it. And likewise, if they're giving me too much, then I can't get from them. So it does have to be a mutual handover.
Definitely. And I don't have children, and I just consider these, you know, these 19 ladies that I work with, they're family to me. Like they are, like you've just got to treat them as if they were your children or your sister. So I think we have that sort of respect. And when the girls write me beautiful cards or my thank yous, and when my manager just finished up for maternity leave, you know, when I get given gifts of Swarovski and flowers when it should be the reverse, well, you know, that's just wonderful that they respect you so much as well.
That's so special. Let's talk about the lessons that you have learnt in applying for the awards, being nominated and winning as many as you have, because it's quite a process to sit down and apply for the awards. And I know as a business owner, it gives you a little moment to actually reflect back on what you've done in business, because sometimes I call it we're in the trenches and we're just head down, bum up, and we're just working away. And sometimes only when we peek out of that trench and we think, oh my goodness, look how far I've come. And so I'm wondering, what's been your biggest lesson in that process?
Two things. Firstly, my advice to other business owners looking at going in them is to not give up after one attempt. I often tell people it took me, you know, 5 or 6 times at the ABIAs to, you know, because there's some amazing businesses, but each year, you know, if you just gave up the first time, you know, it's like riding a bike. You've got to keep going. And I think also when I write them down, like, and you're writing your answers, if there's a category that you really can't think of any answers for, it makes me think next year I'm going to have something for this. And so especially with sustainability and environmental at the moment, I'm always like, okay, I need more in that area. What else, you know, what aren't we doing? But actually then when somebody sits down with you and says, but we're doing this, I'm like, oh yes, we are. So sometimes it's just having someone else to talk to through it as well, that you might have forgotten some of the things you are doing, but it makes me make some changes for the following year and implement new things, because I'm like, oh, we could be doing more.
And that was going to be my next question is, you know, you've won so many awards. How do you not stay stagnant? You know, how do you keep trying to compete with yourself, I guess, and trying to be better than last year?
Well, it was interesting. I had this chat with my business coach 5 months ago, and I said, no, you know, I'm not going to go in the ABIAs this year. I said, it's nice to let someone else have a go. And my business coach said, no, that's not how you do it, because you shouldn't just win and then drop off the face of the earth. You've got to keep going. You're at this amazing level. You know, if you deserve to be the winner, you should be in it. And so, of course, we entered again this year. But I did think I'll just have a little break. But I thought, no, you have got to stay on it. And the clients and the staff, probably need to see that as well, that you are still in it, because, you know, the next salon down the road could be the one that wins. So I think it's important to keep working on it and keep entering. But even if you're not a winner and you're a finalist, or maybe you are the winner, there's still things you can improve each year that, you know, everyone can.
And I guess it makes yourself and the team feel really validated for a whole year of hard work. What does it actually feel like winning for those who maybe are listening who haven't won or even entered into the ABIAs?
Oh, it's sort of just like one of those TV awards, you know, the Logies. It's exactly that feel. You know, everybody looks at you and you stand up and you sort of don't believe that it's ever going to be you. So it's just incredible. Like last year, I remember, not even just at the ABIAs, but when we took out Pure Fiji Stockist of the Year, it's like, really? We're in Bathurst. How do we get Pure Fiji Stockist of the Year? But it's a real pinch me moment. And I think my staff don't really understand how amazing it is, these awards. Like Salon Team of the Year, I think they don't get it sometimes, that it's lovely, because I say to them,
It's a heavyweight
this is
title.
something, well, I think they can put that on their resume for their life. Like, you know, Salon of the Year, and we win at the World Luxury Spa Awards. I'm like, girls, we're meant to be like the best in the world. It's just pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And during one of your wins, you were able to travel and meet the amazing Jane Wurund, which is the founder of Dermalogica. What was that like?
That was incredible. I had met Jane before, so it made it a little bit easier, I think. But I remember the first time I met Jane, I couldn't get the lettuce in my mouth at the lunch break. So I was dreading dinner because I thought, this is going to be, it's like sitting with your biggest celebrity crush ever. Like, this is the person that you've aspired to be like. You've watched her videos, you've watched her speak so many times, and she's like one of the industry's biggest leaders. Like, she's, you know, really disrupted the whole industry back when it started, and she's incredible. Amazing woman. And even though she's, you know, still got her hand a little bit in the company, even though now it's sold, but she's like, there's still so much that she's doing with Dermalogica and for women around the world in different areas. She's doing something now with LA with business women, like, you know, helping women in businesses. So I think she's an incredible woman.
Very special. It's hard not to be starstruck by her, isn't it?
I did not know what, you know, when there's that awkward silence at the dinner table, you actually don't know what to say, because you're like, I don't want to say the wrong thing with Jane.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm the person who says the wrong thing when I meet people. So don't worry, I'll say the wrong thing. You worry about putting the lettuce in your mouth.
I know, get the veggies in. And she's very healthy. Like, we were at an organic restaurant, so we had no idea what we're eating, because it was in trendy West LA, and we're like, we didn't even know what we were eating, because it was so fancy and organic and vegetarian, and we're not used to that sort of, you know, that sort of meals here in Bathurst.
And I'm wondering if you could go back and tell yourself anything prior to being a business owner, opening your 2 locations, winning all of these awards and having your incredible team, what would that be?
I always remember, I'm a beauty expo addict, and I love going to education and getting new ideas. And I remember every expo, probably every business seminar, they always said to you, you need to work on your business, not in your business. Now, that took me about 9 years into running my business to actually get to that stage. And it was one of my biggest regrets, because once I stopped doing treatments and actually focused on growing the salons boomed. And everything just completely changed. And it took a while. You know, you cut down one day to another day, and then, you know, I put my prices up compared to the other staff. I was doing everything I possibly could to get off treatments, because I could see that, you know, with more office time to do marketing, and that it was amazing. And so that would be my biggest thing I would have changed, was either to just be a trainer and train the staff and run the business at the same time, or just have only run a business. But I wouldn't be probably where I am now talking to you if I didn't have my path. So you never know what the future can hold, do you? We go back and change and think. But yeah, I think so many business owners, and I know I have a lot of girlfriends that have beauty salons, and they're all stuck in that treatment room still. And I think, imagine what your business could be if you weren't stuck in the treatment room.
Yeah, very interesting, isn't it? And I think, as business owners, we make so many excuses. Oh, my favorite clients, or no, she would never go to anyone else. Or, I think it all at the end of the day probably comes back to two things is a love of just performing treatments because that's where we started. But B, maybe a little bit of trust as well, and I think you have to be able to let go. But as you've said, train your team so that you do have 100% trust in them and know that they will be able to perform a treatment exactly, if not better, than what you're currently performing. And I think when you get to that level of being able to train, then you will be able to step away from the treatment room a day or half a day more than you currently are, because you can say to your favorite client, Mary, this therapist is actually better than me. And if she doesn't wear your socks off, then I'll come back and I'll do your treatment next time. But I can guarantee she will.
We did that. We had 100% money back guarantee if they didn't like having someone else, and they were fine. But I think you'll see your salon, your business will boom once you stop and start working on marketing. And if you can't do that, then you need to employ someone to do your marketing for you and you're running your business, because I was Wonder Woman doing all of it at once and I had no life. My business was my baby, still is, but I feel like most people want financial freedom a little bit more. So you do have to take that next step.
I'm wondering if you could give a little bit of advice to the business owners, because most of our business owners in our industry start as a therapist and then go into being a business owner. And I think a little bit of the fear coming to a third point is that we don't know what to do once we stop treating. So, while we're being told, do the marketing, do the finances, how do I even do that? Because I'm not qualified to do that. So did you do any courses or any self-training? Like, how did you grow and learn how to do the marketing and look at your books and understand them?
At the beginning years, I attended every beauty expo business seminar there is, and I would highly recommend it. And I'm getting to speak at this year's Sydney Beauty Expo. So if anyone has questions for me, I can chat to them there.
Brilliant.
But I learned so much from those, they're marketing and business gurus who are teaching at the expo. So go and get their advice for a fraction of the price than if you went to a different seminar. I found back then we didn't even have like online courses. So there is so much more now with social media training, business coaching. That would be my next thing, is to then get a business coach. And that's a tough one for a lot of people because they think they can't afford it, but you can. It will make you money. And then finding a business coach that you connect with. My business coach is one of my very best friends now. So, I feel if I had anything really bad happening in my life, that is the person that I ring that just calms me down. And that's how your business coach should be. And they don't send you the bill. It's really funny. If you have the right person, they want to help your business grow. So I would attend lots of seminars. There is so many. I saw you've got one on in June.
Yeah. At the end of May, we do. We have our brunch.
There's so many events now for people to attend, to learn and network and get ideas from.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I think, even back to a decade and a bit ago when I started in the industry, there was nothing. I remember there was the old there was Bridget Benj, and she had a blog, and she would release something every Monday, and I would wait by my email to get her blog. And, I would print that off and put it in the back of the staff room at my first job. And that was like my little Bible, and nowadays you can literally just jump onto Google and there are so many platforms and resources and video libraries, and it's so much more accessible now than it ever has been. So there's really no excuse.
No, and I still love getting my trade magazines. I'm still a member of all of those. I love getting those and reading them and looking for which ones give me some information. And the other thing I was going to say as well, there is one thing that you really need, and it's passion. Because if you don't have passion, it probably doesn't matter what you're going to study. It probably won't help you. So you really have to be passionate about having a successful business and how to make it work.
Yeah, and I love what you've said before as well. If you don't have the passion to do the marketing and you're looking at it and just going blue in the face thinking, I don't know how to do this, I don't know where to start, I don't enjoy it, then you're not going to make the most out of that in your business. And so when you're looking at that and you come to that realization, that roadblock, then maybe it is time to get that done externally.
Definitely.
You know, you can do so many affordable things, like there's virtual assistants these days who will help you. And if you don't know where to look, we can definitely pop some links in the show notes and just give you some of those different tools that you can reach out to.
And I think, I know for me, my passion, I love social media and marketing. And I think that's my next calling is I believe, you know, my next chapters of life, whatever happens, I think I'll be helping other salons and businesses with their social media more. I already do for a couple of businesses, but I just love it. So I think I can see that when I do, say our Mother's Day hampers, for example, we do some social media marketing on them. They all sold out. So it's really important to do your advertising, but it's free if I'm doing it. It doesn't, my time, I can do it super quick in 5 minutes. So it's beneficial to be doing as much marketing as you can.
Absolutely. And you've just answered my next question in what's next for yourself as a business owner, as a therapist by trade, and for Macquarie Medispa. Are we going to see more pop up? What are we expecting?
At this stage, we're just going to keep perfecting what we're already doing because it's working. We've just had a change of management in the Orange Medispa due to maternity leave. So I've ultimately going to be working closer with those. I've got 2 now job sharing. So I've got to spend a lot of time with them getting that business. It's been booming. Our Orange business is just, it's been incredible. It's a wonderful town. And I think for me personally, I recently got engaged. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So I'm thinking I probably should start more planning a wedding or an engagement party or something. But I've always put my business first. It's really funny. You know, I haven't even looked. Have no idea.
Well, you think businesses are expensive. Wait till you have the wedding.
I know. So for me, I think it's just perfecting what we're doing, offering more events. I don't want to go too big, you know, and I don't want to keep stretching myself too thin because being in 2 towns 45 minutes apart already does that to you a little bit. And then my partner lives 3 hours in a totally different direction. So I am aware of how I need to also look after myself. And if I want to give the team the best me, then I have to be in a good place as well. So I feel like that's happening, and we can make this business bigger and better without expanding further. You know what I mean? Just making changes to our treatments and our products, and just keep training. Makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And I love what you've said there. Just because you've got something good doesn't mean the numbers have to go up. You know, one of my firm mantras is just quantity over the other way around. Quality, absolute quality over quantity. And it is exactly right. Sometimes in this business and industry, we go, okay, I've got something great. I'm just going to open 5 clinics all of a sudden, but we don't actually put the scaffolding and the measures into place to support that growth. And I think we'll see, you know, the repercussions of that happen more in the future with some of the bigger businesses. But I love there that you've said, you know, we've got soul, we're just going to perfect what we've got, and understanding that you can't be a superwoman doing it all. You know, you have a limit, and that limit is to your team, to your partner, to be the best you, so that you can keep filling up everyone else's cup. So I love that.
And more salons doesn't equal more income. So
Correct.
I see a lot of people, we are seeing it now, a lot of businesses aren't doing very well, or they're closing. And it's, like you said, big companies too, they've gone too big, too quick. So I think I'd rather just have a really wonderful businesses that are doing well, that are fully booked. The girls, you know, extend the hours further and increase the pricing and offer higher end treatments, and you'll see a much bigger difference than just opening a 3rd location.
Couldn't agree with you more. Karla, it's been brilliant chatting to you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me to chat. I loved it.
I so hope you enjoyed today's episode with Karla. There was one resounding thing that stood out to me about Karla, and that is her humbleness. Though Karla is wildly successful, she sits in her true self, free from ego, and always gives back to her team, understanding the importance of their relationship. If you wish to hear more from Karla and our other guests on the podcast, make sure you subscribe and share this episode with your friends and work colleagues. Thank you for tuning into today's conversation. Until next time, stay connected.